I heard something the other day, and it was trauma buried alive never dies. And that just kind of hit me like a ton of bricks. And that is so true. So we can't bury this. You can't stuff it down. You can't pretend it didn't happen.
You can try, but it's not going to work too well for you.
Yeah, we both tried.
We know.
Hi, I'm Angela Williams.
And I'm Katie Sudano.
And I'm a survivor of child sexual abuse.
And I'm a survivor of child sexual abuse.
Welcome to Voice Up for the Voiceless. We're so excited that you've tuned in with us today. Our podcast features the tough issue of child sexual abuse. We interview survivors. We share our own personal stories in hopes that it will help survivors to heal and help really our society understand the issue on a deeper level.
Yeah, and so excited today that, first of all, that you're better.
Yes.
You've been fighting a cold.
I had that nasty flu bug. It was horrible.
So we've been
I'm
out
back
of
with the living.
We've been out of studio for a while, so I'm happy to have you back, and you're glowing, and you look so healthy. But yeah, today we're going to continue on part 3 of the Lives That We Believe series.
Well, I think it's important for survivors, when we are groomed, Katie, we know this, but when I think most of society doesn't understand this, that we, just to get through the trauma, that we believe the lies that the perpetrators tell us. Mm-hmm. And then I think society kind of reinforces those lies in our lives. So we just really have spent the last couple of shows just kind of unpacking these lies in hopes that survivors can understand, hey, maybe I've been believing that and that's not true.
Yeah.
So today's lie that we're going to unpack is what, Katie?
Can we start out? Having a little brain. No one will believe me.
No one will believe me.
And we wrote a little blurb on it, which I'll put in the description, but fear of not being believed or that others will judge them often prevents survivors from speaking out. This is compounded by feelings of isolation or rejection.
Yeah, I know my perpetrator, and we both were sexually abused for many, many years. Mine was 14 years, and he always told me no one would believe me. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of pedophiles are pillars in the community. I think they're chameleons. And so it goes to just, rationally think that that children will not be believed and that the perpetrators will be believed.
Every perpetrator I have had, or for example, my cousin who abused my son, they were one of the most liked in the family. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't think anyone ever told me, I don't remember, first of all, but I don't think they were ever like, don't tell anybody because you won't be believed. Mm-hmm. I had more like threats. If you tell, then this will happen. So I think I just innately figured that I wouldn't be believed because everyone likes this guy. So it may have perpetuated my silence. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't think I was ever told like so directly like you.
Well, it's just heartbreaking. The one person that I thought would believe me would be my mother. Mm. And ultimately, the day that I left to run away and really had to disclose what had happened, she didn't believe me. Yeah. And I think it was just too horrible for her to believe. I think it's just to wrap your mind around your husband, the father of your children, has been sexually abusing your daughter. Mm-hmm. It just was too much for her. So that day, I say and I write in my book that day of denial was almost as painful as all the abuse, because I never in a million years thought my mother would turn her back on me.
Yeah, or
and
not
I have forgiven.
You.
I have forgiven, and I love my mother, and I know that it just was such a horrific situation to deal with, and I cannot even imagine being in her shoes. Like, I would hope that I would stand with my child. And
well, I have been in your mom's shoes. But I don't know if it's timing. It's the fact that I was a survivor, that there was no question in my mind. The minute my son told me he was abused, he didn't tell me who, but he told me what and when, roughly when, because he still doesn't remember.
Yeah.
But of course I believed him, and it like was a rush of emotions for me as a mom, because my brain, you know how they say when you die, your life flashes. Mm-hmm. I kind of had that in a sense. I wasn't dying, but when he told me that, I immediately got sick to my stomach, and all these memories of the moment my son changed. Why this happened? It's
you called me that day, remember?
Yeah.
You called me that day.
The dots, well, I called you the next day because I couldn't, it was nighttime. Yeah. The dots just kind of connected immediately. And I knew without a shadow of doubt that everything my son had been through since he was 10 years old made immediate sense. But again, different time, different situation.
I honestly think denial is sometimes just the go-to. It's so horrible to face that you just have to deny it because you just can't comprehend it. You can't process it. And my mom, had a lot of trauma in her life too. And, there's been a lot of forgiving, a lot of processing for me to get to the place that I don't understand it. I can't say that I understand it, but I certainly have forgiven her and worked on our relationship. But I guess just to speak to you survivors, if you're holding on to that secret because you think no one will believe you, there will be someone to believe you.
Absolutely.
And I really feel like we can't keep that secret. I heard something the other day, and it was trauma buried alive never dies. And that just kind of hit me like a ton of bricks. And that is so true. So we can't bury this. You can't stuff it down. You can't pretend it didn't happen.
You can try, but it's not going to work too well for you.
Yeah, we both tried.
We know.
So just as an encouragement that to find a safe person and to not let that lie just continue to hold you back, and to take your voice, and to take, the truth that needs to be told.
Especially because of our judicial system and how it works. The sooner you tell, the better it's going to be for you to get justice. Because from experience from both of us, the longer you keep it, and the memories may get a little faded, and your brain has a way of providing some sort of safety, and it'll change some things to help you cope. That's not to say that your story is a lie. It's just that the faster you tell, the more I think your memories will be vivid, and you'll have more accuracy.
And ideally, if you're a child and you're listening, then you do need to tell someone. We had a sweet little 16-year-old that reached out to us that listens to our show. And
shout
out
her.
If you're listening.
Yes.
Thank you for that video. That really touched our hearts.
It did.
We don't know who's listening to the podcast.
Yeah.
And it is our prayer that our words would touch the hearts of survivors and help them heal. I mean, that's why we do this every week. And that's why.
Well, ultimately, stop this epidemic for continuing, and
Amen.
Giving prevention tips so that our children aren't even put in this situation.
So speaking of our prevention tips around this lie, if your child has disclosed to you, then that's the first thing that they need to hear is, I believe you and I'm here to protect you. Just to say that again, when a child is in front of you disclosing, the immediate response needs to be that I believe you, and I am here to protect you and to keep you safe.
What would you tell a parent if a child disclosed, or a teenager for that matter, disclosed, and you say, I believe you and I'm here to keep you safe from this point on? What would be the next step for that parent to do? What would you suggest?
I would suggest that they keep the child talking, because they're a place that they're vulnerable and they've opened up. So you want to use reflective listening, because you don't want to taint their testimony. You don't want to add to it. So reflective listening would just repeat what the child has told you and say, tell me more. And then write down all the details and just repeat what they're saying saying and say, tell me more, tell me more,
What if
tell me more.
tell me more, and then they shut down? Because that happens.
Well,
They don't want to go further.
Right, they're traumatized. And that would be the place that I would call 911. And and we've had on our show, child advocacy centers, contact a local child advocacy center and then actually get a forensic interview
So
done.
911 is
911, you can call DFACS. You can
that's
call,
scary for a parent.
It is scary for a parent, but you do have to get law enforcement involved in order to have the services of a child advocacy center. You just can't go there. But if
You can't just go?
if that's scary, you have to go. You have to have an open case.
I may have missed that on our show.
For them to get involved. But, find a counselor, call your pediatrician. I mean, it's best that disclosure also comes, that they disclose to maybe a professional, either a mental health professional or a medical professional. So I would say
it's funny
contact.
you say that. We're getting a little off topic, but I recently met a pediatrician, and maybe she was a pediatric nurse. Either way. And she's reading my book currently, and she said that, fortunately she's never been touched by this, but that when she got into it, she wanted to stay as far away from ever having to deal with a child that has been sexually abused as possible. And I I put on my poker face, but in the moment I'm like, why?
Because this issue is so terrifying.
I know, but
It's
I mean, I'm
terrifying.
like, but you're in a position to save, to help, to heal, to provide information. Like, it was just so heartbreaking. And I'm not here judging her by any means. I understand, like, I have grace for that, but at the same time, it's like, come on, when are we going to get over it and stick our heads?
You know how hard I work to get medical professionals trained.
I know. You had a whole program set up
Physicians'
for them.
Power to Protect, and hopefully that can be resurrected. It kind of died through COVID. I think a lot of things died through COVID, but
No, I don't think it's dead. I think it'll
be resurrected
100%.
in the name of Jesus. But,
Yeah.
So for survivors listening, you have to deny this lie. You just have to wipe it out of your mind. You can't let that keep you bound in silence and fear. So we just want to encourage you that you will be believed. You just need to tell and not let that keep you silenced.
What could we tell a survivor out there who hasn't said anything, who's been carrying this burden and this secret?
Well, there's more room on the outside than there is on the inside.
That's a good one.
I would say that first and foremost, that you don't realize how much freedom there is in telling the story, and that there are safe people that you can tell. You can tell a mental health professional, a counselor, a pastor,
I think what
a
gave
friend.
what gave me courage, well, my situation again is a little different. My perpetrator was going to hurt me. I don't remember anything, but I remember running and finally telling. But I think for me, telling about my perpetrator and telling about my cousin, I didn't want to keep it a secret, and it wasn't at all to farthest from the truth to gossip or to spread rumors. But for me, it was to protect others. Because
secrets.
even though everyone looked at me, well, this would never, like, there's one and done kind of thing. There were kids, or there were, boys will be boys. And I'm like, no, if you knew the truth of what actually happened, this perpetrator needs help. And who knows? It could be dormant for a few years, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what is the the statistics of a perpetrator, the average, I guess?
About 115 victims per
in
perpetrator
in their lifetime.
in their lifetime.
Right. And so it seems like, first of all, 115 people. Think of that. That was like my wedding. That's a lot of
children.
people. That's a lot of children.
A lot of lives, a lot of trauma.
And for me, that was, and if you're listening and you've been holding a secret, if you can't do it for yourself, do it for the rest of them, because there's going to be more. You're not the only one.
And the secrets make us sick. They make us sick.
Absolutely. Well, we talked about that. I'll link that podcast to this one.
So that's a big lie. Hopefully, as we tick off these lies, we're going through a series now where we're going to talk about 10 lies that survivors believe that keep them bound and sick. And I just want to say, too, that we don't really talk enough about this, but this is a spiritual battle. This is pure evil, sexual abuse of our children. Satan hates humanity. He hates children. And so it's a spiritual battle, too. So you keep it silenced, you keep it in the dark, or you expose it to the light, and you give it an opportunity. You give yourself an opportunity to heal. So I think Satan perpetuates these lies in survivors' minds to keep them quiet, because he wants the perpetrators about the business of harming more children.
Yeah.
So,
and not getting the healing you deserve to do what God's put you on this earth to do, your sole purpose. And when you believe these lies, like you said, it makes you sick. It makes you feel shame and guilt, and it makes you fearful. I'm still battle with that sometimes. We have to do a talk on next month, and I'm like already saying, how can I get out of this? And I'm like, no, I have to do this. But that's the fear, the shame,
Yeah. So while you said that, if you're listening and you have a community group or a church that you would like Katie and I to come speak, we would love to come and share our stories and share prevention tips, and to just, help expose this issue in our community. That's the only way we're going to save the next generation of children.
Yeah, even if it's a Spanish community, I'm more than happy to brush up on my Spanish and speak in Spanish for those because the Spanish community, believe it or not, it's rampant.
It's
and
rampant
I feel like it is,
it's
but I
absolutely
think in the United
everywhere.
States, because they're Spanish speaking, they're even less inclined to try to explain in a different language in a foreign country. You know what I mean? So it's even scarier for them.
More challenges.
So we're here for you. Reach out to us and we'll figure it out. I'll have you there as backup, but I'll speak or I'll translate
you can
for
translate
you.
for me. Well, we're so grateful that you've tuned in. We, of course, are so thankful to Mesmerize Media for making this podcast available. We are seeking sponsors. So if you or someone that would sponsor our show, we would ask that please reach out to us, voiceupforthevoiceless@gmail.com. And we'll have links below. And please share, please comment. And we are just so grateful to bring you this show every week.
Thank you for tuning in every week. And please feel free, please comment. I know it's a scary thing to comment publicly, but it does help the algorithm to push us out for more survivors, more people to learn about this. We got to get our heads out of the sand, people. I know that's harsh to hear, but I'm tired of saying this. I want everyone to be healed, and I 100,000% want justice. We need to change that. We're on a mission, Angela and I, and we want to stop it. Once and for all, this has to stop. This darkness cannot continue.
So you've been listening to Voice Up for the Voiceless. I'm Angela Williams.
And I'm Katie Sedano.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.